Today, I'd like to welcome you to a journey, the journey of my life. So, I want to say it all started when I was in my mother's womb. But then there had to be a time before that when humanity came to be, when there was Adam and Eve, or the Big Bang, as one might believe. 43 years ago, I was born to this life on this earth as we know it today. For about 23 years, I lived naturally. I went to school. I'm the youngest of 6 kids in a very traditional family. Went to university, got married, and then there was a little twist in my life. And the twist for me is called my light experience. This was, to be exact, let me look at this journal, which is known as my light journal. It was September 1st, 1991 at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I had been reading a book recommended to me by my mentor. It was a person living his life, but on the quest of getting to where he wanted to be, he experienced light. As I was reading, about an hour or two into the early morning, there was a moment when I stopped, as I write here. Here I was reading for a couple of hours into early morning, reading, crying, growing, when all of a sudden I could no longer continue. The word light stopped me. Emotions so great, so incredible, dark at first all inside of me, then some light, heavy and light, confused and content, big and small, empty and full, strong and weak, all knowing and feeling, to not knowing and not feeling. The next morning I got up after I had slept only for 1 or 2 hours, and I did 2 things. The first thing that I did is that I put on actually all white. And I went to my parents' home, but I ran to my mother's bosom, truly I did, because I knew she would know what I'm talking about. And I told her at that time that I was born. She held me tight and we cried, and she gave me a small gift, which is a little medallion type of thing that in our family is given to newborn children. My grandmother on my father's side had given each of the grandchildren one. And at that time, my mother gave me my second medallion with a prayer on it to protect my life. Then what I tried to do is to write down all these feelings that I had, because they were just so incredibly, just big and out of my skin. I didn't want to forget them. I wanted to cherish the flavor. I wanted to remember when I touched the bark of the tree, how soft it was. I remember we lived in a really cute little house, my husband and I, and there was a little practically twig for a tree. And that morning I went and stood under its shade, feeling the shade of a giant oak tree. This was the beginning of my journey, and I knew it was an incredible thing. Then I knew that I had gone out and bought this very special book, a journal that I looked for. And I was like, I know, I'm gonna write all my light journeys in here. And then, next thing you know, 5 years had passed, and I had never come back to this journal. I think that is why on that day I knew how sensitive that moment was and why I wanted to cherish it. But 5 years after that, I wrote in it again, and then again after 7 or 8 years, I wrote in it one more time. I think the reason why I'm telling you this story here today and now is that I come back to this journal. In fact, most of it is empty, but it's because I've filled up so many more journals, and everywhere I write and everything I experience is full of light. I want to share this light in a way that it might wake you up. If you are listening to this, if you have not shut me off yet, it means that you have been looking for a story of the light.